Hello, this is a video of some of the pianos that have come into stock since the beginning of February 2020. This is a Bluthner grand piano style 7, made in 1911, 6 foot 3 inches long. One of the pianos we're always trying to source. It's just come back into stock, having been rented out, and we're really pleased to have it back in. Perfect ivory keys. You can see the beautiful rosewood veneer here. We haven't repolished this piano, so it's not so expensive as if we had done that, but it's such a high quality piano. You can see it's been restored. It's had a Harrods plaque here which tells us that Harrods sold it in 1960 and had it restored before then, just before then I would think, looking at the style of the piano. So we're very pleased to get this in. Let's have a quick listen to the tone of the piano. Very mellow, very rich and warm, as we've said many times. Bluthner grand piano is one of our favourite tone pianos. The hammers were replaced when it was restored, and we've just done some light refacing and voicing on them, but not that much use since it was restored. Side panels on these Bluthner grands pull out so the candelabra can be put here and shining onto the music. We have more photos of this on the website, on the stock list. This is a Bechstein Model B Grand Piano that's 2 meters long, 6 foot 7, and we have got a video of this piano, made in 1904. It's a superb instrument, restored by Bluthners. This is a Feurich 161 grand piano, and we sold in 2011. It's come back into stock, pretty nearly pristine condition on the outside and very little wear on the hammers. The touch on this piano is a bit on the heavy side, I think, and it's 56 grams that is, and just going down, so probably we'll lubricate and if necessary reweight that to lower it. Generally pretty consistent on, there we are, that one's going down on its own. With a little encouragement they go down, so that's 56 grams, should be 50, 52, 48 to 52 really is what we set it at normally. Feurich's really one of our preferred makes of new piano, and you can see, I like the music style desk here. You can see through it if you haven't got the music, which is a lot of people like, and you can see the bird's eye maple veneer on the side there. Now, the piano's had very little wear since it's been out, very little use. These marks on the hammers are marks that I put on when we originally voiced the hammers, so that it can be voiced for the unicorder as it moves sideways. I explain that in other videos, so those marks are deliberately put on, but you can't see any wear on the hammer itself. If you look to see any indentation, there really isn't any. I really don't think there's been any significant change in the tone on Feurich grand pianos since 2011. The touch though is slightly improved, and there's certainly be thinking about improving the touch on this and also do some voicing, but it's really a bit out of tune because it's not been tuned for a long time. Really it's extremely good piano. Now moving into our workshop showroom area, this is a Steinway Model O that's just recently come into stock. We have done some work on it, we've improved the casework as well, and there's still a bit more refinement to do. But the piano's been restored previously and very well restored. We'll have a look at the insides in a minute, but these are the keys, perfect ivory keys, one-piece ivory. So whoever restored the piano put new one-piece ivories on, which is very encouraging. There are some blemishes on the case, you can see here, so devalues the piano. Obviously there's a bit of crazing here, and this generally, though, the outside of it is very acceptable, I think, but if you obviously want perfection, then we can repolish the whole piano. This is original French polish as it was in the beginning. Looking at the touch weight before we hear the tone, it's set roughly, this is 48 grams, just slightly less than 48 grams, that one. So I think we'll probably sort of refine the touch a little bit, but more or less on 48 grams, which is what we aim for a slightly lighter touch. So 50 grams would be average. 48 to 50 is fine. So if you wanted to, obviously we can customize it slightly if you would like particular touch. But we know how important touch is to pianists, so we want to get that as even as we possibly can. It's got the original pedals and hardly any wear on this right hand pedal, so that's encouraging. The piano obviously hasn't had a huge amount of wear in its time, and the piano's been restrung. The tuning pins are tight. It's not had a new rest plank under here, but Steinway rest planks are so good anyway. If we're fully restoring a piano, we usually change the rest plank, but there's no need to in terms of the tightness of the pin. So very tight tuning pins right the way through, and restrung. We can see the string length is good here, which is mentioned before in many videos, and a sign of a good string maker. It's not too far away from the agraff, which is again a good thing. And dampers restored, dampers working perfectly, lifting off exactly the right point. And the soundboard, as you can see, has been very well reconditioned. There's no cracks on it whatsoever. I think I forgot to mention this piano is 1919. Just a quick look at the top, where you can see it isn't perfect, but there's generally in reasonable condition, just a little bit on the scratch side. That's the shadow from the lid there. So we could repolish this piano, obviously, if you wanted it to be perfect, because the inside really is perfect. It has quite a powerful tone. There's a little bit of voicing. Obviously you can make it mellower if you wanted to, but generally a powerful Steinway with a good underlying rich sound. It's a 1919 piano, so one of the best periods for Steinway, really. I think if you're a technician, you'd agree with me there. So definitely some voicing to do, some hammers standing out a bit. But very, very fluid action and very easy to play. Now looking at the hammers, they're not much wear on. There's light refacing being done on this one, but really in perfect condition, and the hinges are the tight as each other. They're very tight. We talked about side brace play before, so they don't need replacing. And as I say, the piano's been restored. You see the numbers on as the restorer here too, and done an excellent job. By the way, one way of telling that it's been well done is these extra shims here to try and get the hammers to travel together exactly, and also to hit all three strings at the same time, which we've mentioned before is really important. So all of those things done extremely well. This is a Bechstein Model A, which is a rental piano. It belongs to a client. We've had to replace all the lead weights which were oxidising, and there's a video about that too. But this is available for rental, and it's a very nice instrument. It's been very well restored. It's just the leads that were the problem. So we're going to have to do some refinement still. But it's a wonderful grand piano, Bechstein Model A, one of our favourites. And if they're restored well, they come out beautifully. So just some refinement on the touch to do on this, but basically most of the work done. So if you want an inexpensive rental piano as a grand, this one you couldn't buy, but we do say if you pay 10 months rental up front, then that payment can be deducted from any other piano in stock. This Schiedmayer Upright piano, made in 1982, 120 centimetres tall, and an extremely fine quality piano. Been playing this myself recently, just come into stock again, and just very impressed by it really. Schiedmayer is a wonderful maker piano. This is before this, just one of their later pianos, last pianos I think practically, but it has such a high quality of manufacturer standard. The action feels very, very, very refined, and I can highly recommend this if you're a musician and want an excellent piano that's not too costly, that will last you a lifetime really. And very well thought out piano, Schiedmayer, if you're in the trade. There are lots of old Schiedmayers in the UK, not so many modern ones. And as I say, this is one of the last ones made in their factory, I think. I'll have to check the dates on that, I'm not completely sure, but it's certainly an excellent West German piano. And right the way through, there's just a wonderful touch, a wonderful tone. So as I say, recommended very much for musicians. Yeah. This is a Yamaha U3, 130 centimetres tall, also just coming to stock. And this is bought privately, so it's not perfect on the outside. We can obviously improve the casework. It's in good condition. There's no bumps, just very slight scratching here and there. But what we care most of is obviously the technical side. And if we look at the hammers from above here, we can see that the piano is almost as good as it was, well, as good as a new piano really. This age of Yamaha 1975 is such an excellent age for Yamahas. That they made between 1970 and 1980 the H series is the most prolific series and very consistent indeed. So as you can hear, the tone, it's a plainer tone than the Schiedmayer, but very reliable and very respected pianos. Of course, the Yamaha U3 is a musician's choice very often. This is a Knight K10 made in 1969, one of our preferred makes and models, as you've known if you've watched videos before. So the logos varies a bit with Knight. This is in good condition. Sometimes the letters have come off on this one. It's not going to happen on because it's a transfer, but very high quality pianos. By the way, the lid is held up by a prop here. You might find that useful if you want to just get, basically like copying a grand piano being open, more volume comes through here. And it's not something I find that people use very much, but it's something that's available. May not realise if you've got a piano and have never tried that before. Looking inside the piano, it's in perfect condition. We also been very careful how we choose our pianos. It's got a Knight continuous bridge, which I have other videos about, that distinguish them, and they've actually got a brochure that explains it, which I put in another video already. But it means around this area you get tremendous even tone. Very, very little wear on the hammers on this piano. So you have a look, you can't really see very much. Perhaps representing about 5 years of 1 hour a day possibly, but consider the age of the piano, that's very little. And the piano don't deteriorate much over the years. That's the good thing about pianos, that there's not much difference in tone on this. It's better than a cheap new one, definitely, and for value for money is tremendous, much better than buying a new piano at the price this one is. Of course, we're doing fine regulation, but it doesn't need a huge amount really. It's not being worn, there's not much key wear in the keys, so generally very, very good. Finally, the piano is recently into stock. This Welmar upright piano, 110 centimetres tall, made in 1981. We're really grateful to get this piano in because it's totally immaculate on the outside and hardly used on the inside as well. It's one of the best examples we've had of a basically unused Welmar in the best period of Welmar. And as we'll hear when we listen to the tone, so we're picking pianos for touch and tone. Touch is as it was when it was new really. We always check that. We generally have to lubricate slightly, but this one seems as good as it was when it was new as well. We're obviously going to check that through, but even in tune as well, we haven't tuned it yet, and rich bass as we said before. So looking at the inside, going to zero in on the hammers, we can see how much wear there is. There's the number, by the way. Again, that's the series 81, meaning 1981. And if we turn over to look at the hammers here, we can see this is really important when you check a piano, really, to see how much wear there is. It might sound pleasant anyway, even if it is very worn, but it won't be crisp if it's too flat. And I can't see any indentation hardly on that hammer. So it's been bought and unused and well cared for, which is encouraging for us really. So if we can source pianos like this, obviously that's exactly what we're trying to do, and we try and source as many Welmars as we possibly can. And if you're in the trade, I think you'll back me up to say that there's nothing better than a small Welmar upright piano for small pianos. As I say, we haven't tuned this since it came back in Edison concert pitch. And everything about it, tone-wise, is what you'd hope it would be. Lovely sing, rich, played softly and played loud. You get a tremendous ring to it. Such an interesting tone. And that break point is perfect. We were saying with Knights they don't have a break point there at all, which means that you're going to get more perfection there, but you can't, on Welmars you don't really notice any imperfection either, because it's very well made. Some makes you will find there's a difference of tone there. That'll be a harsher tone very often than the tone there. So that's a quick look at current stock that we've had in since the beginning of February. This one's come in very recently. It's very unusual to find a piano that we need to do literally nothing to, or very, very little, just minor things to perfect it. And really sing. And touch-wise, very, very good piano to study on. Now, if you're thinking of buying a piano, a small piano, there is nothing better than this, really, I believe. Kind of piano I could just carry on playing. I normally finish off with the grand piano, but the other room which there is a grand piano in that's come in recently, somebody playing at the moment there, so decided to finish off with this upright piano. And really, as I say, it's a piano that we are trying to source all the time. Welmar, Knights, two main makes that we're trying to source, and we have to be very careful because very often they're very used, so we always check that through first of all. But we're fortunate enough to have several in stock. One reason we have pianos, a lot of Welmars and Knights, is because we've sold them before and they've come back in, or perhaps we've rented them out, so that's one reason we've often got very many of them. There's not enough of them to go round. We can't manage to source enough without the ones that are coming back. That's what I meant to say. So thank you very much for listening. Hope that's been helpful. If you want to ask about any particular individual piano, please let me know. If you want to buy remotely without coming to see us, that's always possible. We much prefer if you come, mainly because of the touch is varying, but I can try and describe the touch to you. I've tried to describe it on this video as well, but please let us know if you're interested in any of the pianos. After making the video on this Welmar upright, the last one that I was playing on earlier, we found that in the piano stool they had the original brochure for it. So it's a model 41, and here's the specifications. I think I'll put this on the listing of it so that you've got a copy of. Sorry, this camera's not really doing it much justice, but there we are, the model 41, the smallest one, and I presume that's mahogany finish as well. I won't spend too long on this because I'll put it on with the listing for the piano as well, but it's very interesting to find that. Down there, let's see what it says. That's the first time I've seen it. So there we got a key and the size of the piano as well. So they said that model 41 was 104, which is what we got it at as well. So that's encouraging. And last of all, there we have the price list, March 1990, model 41, and there it is, 3,295 in 1990. So it was expensive pianos, Welmars, because they're so well made. That was an expensive piano in 1990, one of the dearest, certainly of that height, that you could buy